What happens when a woman posts a joke photo of herself sitting on her husband's best friend's lap, and the man she thought would laugh simply walks out instead? Can pride, denial, and one viral image destroy everything she thought she controlled? I'm Leora Vale, 32, and I swear the photo wasn't meant to ruin anything. People keep acting like I plotted to humiliate my husband, but it was just a stupid joke. One picture, 1 second, one careless smile. I thought it would make me look fun again, not faithless. When I posted it, I told myself Nathan would laugh, maybe even remember what it was like to have a wife people envied. But instead, he packed a bag, took our daughter, and left without saying a word. Everyone online thinks they know what happened, but none of them were there the night I hit share. None of them saw how cold he'd been for months before that. Nathan and I used to make sense. We had a quiet house, steady jobs, a little girl who laughed at everything. Then somewhere along the line, he stopped seeing me. I'd walk into a room and he wouldn't even look up from his laptop. If I wore something new, he'd just nod and say it looked nice. He never fought, never raised his voice. He just drifted further away until the silence felt heavier than any argument. So, yes, maybe I liked the attention when Ryan joked with me online. Maybe I wanted someone to remind me I was still alive. Ryan's been Nathan's best friend since college. He's the charming one, funny, loud, always surrounded by people. When he teased me in the comments under one of my photos, it didn't feel wrong. It felt like being noticed. Nathan saw it, of course, and made that face he always makes when he's trying not to show how he feels. I told him to relax, that Ryan was harmless. I said, "You're reading too much into everything." And maybe I believed that at first, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy watching him squirm a little. It felt good to have power again, even for a moment. Now, everyone says I crossed a line. They say a wife shouldn't act like that. But nobody talks about what it's like to be invisible in your own marriage. When I posted that photo, me sitting on Ryan's lap at the beach bar, laughing like nothing mattered, I thought I was reclaiming something I'd lost. I didn't know that single post would break everything we'd built. Looking back, maybe I should have seen it coming. The truth is, I knew exactly what I was doing. I just didn't think he'd ever walk away. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The first sign that something in our marriage had shifted was the silence at breakfast. Nathan used to hum while making coffee, little half melodies that filled the kitchen. Lately, it was just the sound of the spoon hitting the mug. He scrolled through his phone, reading headlines, while I sat opposite pretending to check emails. We barely spoke anymore. I told myself we were just tired, that every couple hits quiet phases. But when the quiet becomes the default, it starts to feel like distance. That morning, I was scrolling through my messages when Ryan's name popped up. New haircut, looking sharp. I smiled without meaning to. Ryan always had perfect timing, knew how to say something light enough to sound harmless, but flattering enough to make me pause. I typed back, "Just trying something new." He replied, "Tell Nathan he's a lucky guy." I stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Nathan walked in then, still in his work shirt, and caught the expression on my face. "Something funny?" he asked. "Just a client joke," I said, locking my phone. He poured his coffee and leaned on the counter. "You've been on that thing a lot lately." "It's work," I said. "I can't exactly unplug if I want to keep my clients happy." He nodded slowly. "You said that yesterday." "Because it was true yesterday too." He didn't argue, just finished his drink and rinsed the cup. That calmness used to soothe me. Now it felt like indifference. I wanted him to snap, to ask what I was hiding, to care enough to react. But he didn't. He just said he'd be late because of a team meeting and walked out, the door clicking softly behind him. As soon as he left, I opened the message again. Ryan had sent another one. "You should have smiled like that at dinner last week." I laughed under my breath and typed, Maybe next time you'll earn it. It felt reckless in a small, thrilling way, like tapping the edge of a knife just to feel its sharpness. Later that day, I met Ryan and a few others at the co-working space we sometimes used. He was already there, leaning back in his chair, phone in hand. "You look different in daylight," he said when I walked in. "That's supposed to be a compliment?" I asked. He grinned. "It is, if you want it to be." We worked in silence for a while, though I could feel his eyes on me whenever I laughed at something on my screen. I knew I should have kept things professional, but the attention felt addictive. At lunch, he mentioned a group dinner some friends were planning for the weekend. "You and Nathan should come," he said, "unless he's still allergic to fun." I smirked. "He's just quiet." "Quiet or bored?" he asked. I shrugged. "Maybe both." That night, I told Nathan about the dinner, trying to sound casual. He didn't look up from his laptop. "Ryan's going to be there?" he asked. "Of course, he's organizing it." "Then I'll pass." His voice was flat, final. "Why?" "You know why," he said. "He's your friend," I reminded him. "Used to be," he said. I went upstairs angry. He'd made me feel foolish for trying to have a life outside our routine. I texted Ryan. "He's being weird about the dinner." Ryan replied instantly. "Then come without him. We'll save you a seat." I didn't answer right away. I wanted Nathan to come, to see that I could still be interesting, still be someone people wanted around. But a part of me also wanted him to say no, to give me a reason to do what I wanted without guilt. The next morning, Nathan left early. I walked into the kitchen to find his coffee mug still half full, a tiny puddle beside it on the counter. Underneath, he'd placed a folded napkin with one neat line written on it. "We don't need every picture to be public." I stared at it for a long time, confused, until I remembered the photo from last weekend. Me and Ryan laughing over cocktails. I'd posted it on my story. Nathan must have seen it. I crumpled the napkin and threw it in the trash, annoyed at how calm his warning was. He always spoke in these quiet riddles, never directly, never loudly. I told myself he was just overreacting, that anyone else would have laughed it off. Still, the way he wrote "we" instead of "you" lingered in my mind. It sounded like a line from someone preparing for distance, not reconciliation. That night, as I lay in bed scrolling through my phone, Ryan sent another message. "You looked amazing today. Don't let him make you dim that." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the heart icon. Down the hall, I heard the front door open, Nathan coming home late again. I locked my phone quickly, pretending to sleep as his footsteps approached. He paused by the door, then turned back toward the living room. I heard the faint sound of a cabinet opening, papers shifting, maybe bills, maybe something else. A few seconds later, the soft hum of the printer started, steady and low. I pulled the blanket over my head and closed my eyes, pretending not to hear it. But the sound kept going, and with every page that slid out, I felt something in the air tighten. Printer hums in the next room, followed by the faint click of a folder closing. I told myself the dinner wasn't a big deal. Just friends, just food, just laughter. I repeated that to Nathan when I got dressed, sliding on a short black dress that hadn't seen daylight in months. He looked up from the couch, remote in hand, and asked if I was sure I wanted to go. "It's just dinner," I said. He nodded but didn't smile. "With Ryan?" I ignored the question, spraying perfume instead. "Don't wait up." The restaurant patio glowed with string lights and noise. Ryan was already there, leaning back with that easy grin that made everyone around him relax. When he saw me, he whistled softly and said I'd just brightened his evening. I laughed and waved him off, pretending it didn't matter, though I felt the attention hit like a spark. We sat side by side, the group loud and careless, passing drinks and teasing one another. Someone suggested taking a group photo. Ryan threw his arm around my shoulder as the camera flashed. I smiled wider than I had in weeks. Afterward, he showed me the picture, me leaning toward him, laughing, his hand resting lightly on my back. Should I post it? He asked. Why not? I said. He uploaded it within minutes. The caption read, "My favorite troublemaker." My phone buzzed as people started tagging, liking, commenting. I didn't think about Nathan until much later, when I saw his name among the notifications. He'd viewed it but said nothing. I tried to tell myself that meant it didn't bother him. By the time dessert came, someone ordered shots. Ryan leaned closer, lowering his voice. You know, I miss this version of you, the one who laughs at everything. I smirked. You're just nostalgic. Maybe, he said, or maybe you've been stuck pretending to be someone else. His words hit harder than they should have. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had been pretending that stability was the same as happiness. I left the dinner flushed from the wine and compliments. When I got home, Nathan was awake, sitting at the table with his laptop open. He didn't look angry, just still. Did you have fun? He asked. Yeah, I said carefully. It was nice to be out. Ryan posted a photo, he said. I saw. You're following him now? I tried to make it sound like a joke. He closed his laptop. Everyone follows everyone. That's the point, right? I felt defensive. You're reading too much into it. I'm reading exactly what's there, he said quietly. You sitting with him like that. It was one photo, I snapped. You make it sound like I committed a crime. No crime, he said, just a choice. The way he said it made my chest tighten. I wanted him to shout, to accuse, to give me something real to push against. Instead, he just stood, wished me good night, and walked away. In bed, I scrolled through the comments under the photo. You two look amazing. Power duo, Nathan's gonna be jealous. I liked a few of them before I could stop myself. When I set my phone down, I saw Nathan's reflection in the mirror, standing by the window, staring out at the street. He didn't say anything, just turned off the light. The next morning, Ryan sent another message. Everyone loved our picture. You're kind of trending, I replied with a laughing emoji, though a small knot of worry tightened in my stomach. I checked my own page. Sure enough, someone had tagged me in another post from last night, this time a wider shot. I was perched half on Ryan's lap, laughing, his arm wrapped around my waist. It looked intimate, too intimate. My pulse jumped. Before I could message him, Nathan walked in. Dressed for work, he saw my phone, the photo on the screen. You posted that? He asked. I didn't. Someone else did. And you didn't think to take it down? It's not that serious. He studied me for a long second. It is to me. I sighed. You're making this bigger than it is. Maybe, he said, or maybe I'm finally seeing it for what it is. He picked up his keys, paused by the door and said, You can laugh online all you want, Leora. Just don't expect me to laugh with you. Then he left. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the photo, still glowing on my screen. A dozen more likes appeared in the corner. My friends were commenting again, calling me bold, fearless, wild. I told myself they were right. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just living. That afternoon, at the co-working space, everyone had seen the picture. Jess nudged me, whispering, You're breaking the internet. I smiled, pretending I wasn't shaken. Ryan came over, looking sheepish. Maybe I should take it down, he said. People are talking. Let them talk, I said. We didn't do anything. You sure about that? He asked softly. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a new notification. Nathan had posted a photo too. It was just our daughter, Ella, holding a stuffed animal, with the caption, Some things deserve privacy. The room felt smaller, my throat tight. I didn't reply to him. I just stared at the screen until the brightness blurred my eyes. Group chat ping. Ryan tagged her again, this time writing, She picked the fun seat tonight. The photo loads slowly while her heartbeat fills the silence. The weekend started with excuses. Nathan said he needed time to clear his head, which really meant he didn't want to see me. I told him he was overreacting, that everyone had already forgotten the photo. He didn't argue, just nodded, and said he'd be staying with his parents for a few days. He packed a small bag while I stood in the doorway, pretending not to care. When he closed the trunk, he said he'd pick up Ella on Sunday and left without another word. By the time the house went quiet, I already had a text from Ryan. "Beach bar tonight? The gang's meeting." I typed back before I could think. Why not? The place was crowded, music, laughter, lights flickering across faces. Ryan waved from a corner table, already surrounded by people. He grinned when I walked in, pulling out a chair beside him. "You look happier already," he said. "Guess I needed a break," I replied, forcing a smile. I could feel the eyes on us. Everyone knew about the photo. I caught snippets of whispers. "She's the one from that post." Instead of shame, something stubborn rose in me. I sat straighter, laughed louder, pretending I didn't hear. A girl with a camera started snapping pictures for the bar's page. She came to our table, urging us to pose. Ryan leaned back and joked, "Should we recreate our famous moment?" Everyone laughed. I rolled my eyes but leaned slightly toward him as the camera flashed. The laughter around us felt like a dare. I told myself Nathan wasn't even here. What harm could another picture do? Drinks kept coming. Ryan told stories about college days, about Nathan's old habits, and how he used to be the fun one. I laughed along, pretending it didn't sting. "You've always been too serious for him," Ryan said. "You need someone who can actually keep up." "You?" I asked playfully. "I'm just saying," he said, raising his glass. An hour later, someone pulled up the earlier photo on their phone. "This one's legendary," a friend said. "You guys broke the internet." Ryan grinned, leaning close enough for me to smell the salt on his skin. "See? You're famous now." I shook my head. "I'd rather be boring than famous." "Too late," he said. I checked my phone then. Hundreds of notifications. Someone had tagged me again. The bar's account had uploaded the new photo. Me laughing beside Ryan, hair tossed back, his arms slung comfortably around me. The caption read, "Some people never learn, but they sure look good doing it." My stomach dropped. "Wow," Jess said, glancing at my screen. "You're viral again." "It's a joke," I muttered. "People love drama." Ryan tried to laugh it off, but I saw his jaw tighten. "Maybe we should delete it." "If I delete it, it'll look guilty," I said. The more I tried to sound calm, the more I felt the panic creeping in. My phone buzzed with a new message, Nathan. "So, this is who you are now?" I typed back, "It's just a joke," but he'd already gone offline. I stepped outside for air. The night was thick with humidity and noise. From the patio, I could still hear the music, the laughter, the camera clicking. My reflection stared back from the glass door, smiling, confident, fake. For the first time, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Ryan followed me out. "Hey," he said quietly, "don't let it get to you. It's not your fault people love gossip." "It's not that," I said. "It's just, he saw it." "He'll get over it," Ryan said. "Nathan always forgives." Maybe that was true. Nathan never stayed angry long. He'd come back like always. Still, when I got home, the house felt colder. His toothbrush was gone. The framed photo from our wedding missing from the hallway wall. I sat on the couch scrolling through the comments. "She's married. Poor guy." Maybe he should thank Ryan for the upgrade. Each one made me feel smaller. By midnight, my sister called. "What did you do, Leora?" she asked. "Mom said Nathan's with Ella at Ruth's, and people are messaging her about your post." "I didn't do anything," I snapped. "Everyone's overreacting." "Then why are people calling you heartless?" "Because they're bored." "Delete it," she said, "before it gets worse." "No," I said. "I'm not deleting a harmless picture because people can't handle it." After she hung up, I stared at the blank TV screen. My own reflection looked older, harsher. I wanted to text Nathan, to explain, but pride stopped me. Instead, I posted another story, me holding a drink, captioned, "Some people really need hobbies." Within minutes, someone replied, Your husband just unfollowed you. The house was silent except for the hum of the fridge. I scrolled again, desperate for distraction. A new notification appeared. Ryan had tagged me in a live video. I clicked. He was laughing with friends, saying, "If people want to think we're together, maybe they should ask her themselves." He turned the camera toward me, across the bar, catching me mid-smile. The screen froze for a second, my face half lit, and then the comments exploded. "She's really there. Her husband must hate this. Poor man." I threw my phone down, heart pounding. Outside the window, headlights sweep across the living room wall, Nathan's car pulling into the driveway. The engine cuts off, but the door doesn't open. The knock came just after midnight. I opened the door to find Nathan standing there, calm as stone. He didn't yell or demand explanations. He just said he was there for the rest of his things. The quiet in his voice scared me more than any shouting could have. "You don't have to do this tonight," I said. "It's late." He shook his head. "It's already been late for a while." He walked past me, straight to the bedroom. I followed, trying to sound casual. "You're really making this into a scene for nothing. People post jokes all the time." He folded a shirt, placed it in a bag. "You call that a joke?" he asked. "You sitting on my best friend's lap?" "It wasn't like that." "What was it like then?" His tone stayed calm, but his eyes didn't. "You humiliated me in front of everyone we know." I crossed my arms. "You care too much about what people think." "Maybe," he said, "but at least I care about something." That made me snap. "Oh, so now you're the victim. You've been cold for months. Maybe if you'd noticed me, I wouldn't have needed attention elsewhere." "Needed," he repeated. "That's what you call it." I turned away. "You never listen. You never fight for me. You just sit there acting perfect." He zipped the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and said, "If fighting means defending myself against public humiliation, then no, I won't fight." He started toward the door. "Where are you going?" I asked. "To give Ella a stable place to sleep," he said. "You can visit when you're ready, to be honest." The door closed quietly. I stood there, shaking. I wanted to run after him, but pride pinned me in place. Instead, I picked up my phone. Notifications were still flooding in. Someone had shared a screenshot of Ryan's video, captioned, "Imagine being this confident while married." My stomach twisted. I turned off my phone, but the silence felt worse. By morning, my sister was at the door. "He called Mom," she said. "He's taking Ella to school from Ruth's house." "Good," I said flatly. "At least someone's parenting." "You need to stop pretending this isn't serious," she said. "It's just gossip." "It's your marriage," she said. "Not gossip." I laughed without humor. "Then maybe my marriage shouldn't break that easily." She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. "You're not the victim here." "You don't know what it's like to live with someone who never says anything," I said. "Do you know how lonely it is to feel like you're married to a wall?" She sighed. "Lonely doesn't excuse cruelty." After she left, I drove to the playground, hoping to see Ella. I spotted them sitting on a bench, Nathan talking softly while she ate ice cream. I waited until she ran to the swings, then approached. "Can we talk?" I asked. He nodded slightly but didn't look at me. "You're not even going to ask how I'm doing," I said. "How are you?" "Angry," I said. "Confused." "You should be," he said quietly. "Actions have consequences." I tried to sound reasonable. "It was one photo." "It was a message," he said. "To me, to everyone." "You're twisting it." "You made it public. I'm just reacting in private." I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked where he was staying. "With my parents," he said. "It's easier for Ella." "Easier for you, you mean?" "No," he said. "It's easier for the truth to breathe when there's space." Ella called for him then. He stood, brushing sand from his hands. "Tell her I said hi," I whispered. "She knows you said that," he replied. I watched him walk away, holding her hand, his shoulders straight, his pace slow. Later, I went to Ruth's house, desperate. She opened the door halfway. "Nathan's not here," she said. "I just want to explain." "There's nothing left to explain," she said. "You made him a spectacle." "I didn't mean to." "You did it anyway," she said. "Meaning stops mattering when the world's already watching." I left before I started crying. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and noise. When I walked inside, the air felt hollow. Half the closets were empty. His desk drawers were open, neat and bare. I saw his laptop missing, a small stack of folders in its place labeled Finances, Household, and Ella. I picked one up. Inside were copies of bills, insurance papers, receipts, all in his perfect handwriting. At the bottom, a sticky note read, "For clarity." I threw it down, furious. Even his leaving had to be organized. That night, I posted a picture of myself on the balcony, smiling tightly. The caption read, "Some people run from discomfort instead of fixing it." It got 100 likes in an hour. I told myself that meant I was still winning. But when I looked closer, half the names were strangers, not friends. Near midnight, a text came from Ryan. "You okay? I feel like this blew up more than I thought." I wrote back, "It's fine. He'll calm down." Then I saw his reply. He sent me a message too, just said, "I won't forget." Something in that line made my skin go cold. I set the phone down and stared out the window. The street was empty, but I could hear the faint sound of footsteps outside, stopping right by the door. Then nothing. Door latch clicks softly, as if someone tested it, then a car engine starts and fades into the night. Days blurred together after that night. I told everyone I was fine, that Nathan just needed time to cool off. It sounded better than saying he'd vanished into routines that no longer included me. He still dropped Ella off for school, but he didn't come inside anymore. I'd see his car in the driveway, hear the short beep of the horn, and by the time I opened the door, they'd already be gone. I started keeping my phone nearby, waiting for messages that never came. When they did, they were short. "I'll pick her up at 4. Don't forget her library book." There was no anger in his words, and that was worse. Anger meant there was still something to fight for. Silence meant he'd accepted the end. One afternoon, I went to Ruth's house uninvited. She opened the door but didn't move aside. "He's at work," she said. "I'm not here to see him. I just wanted to talk." "About what?" she asked. "About this mess," I said. "It's not what people think." "People think you humiliated him," she said. "They're right." Her bluntness knocked the air from me. "You've always taken his side." "He doesn't need sides," she said. "He has proof." "Proof of what?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. She folded her arms. "He's been writing everything down. Dates, screenshots, messages. He said one day he might need them." I laughed, but it sounded forced. "He's turning into a detective now." "He's protecting himself," she said. "He deserves that." When I got home, I went through his desk drawers again. The folders were still there, organized like before. But this time, there was a new one at the bottom. Records. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside were printed pages, screenshots of my posts, captions, timestamps. There was one of me and Ryan, the lap photo, another of me at the balcony, smiling into the night. On the back of each page, Nathan had written short notes. Public, 8:43 p.m., 157 likes. Ella's comment visible before deletion. Shared by Ryan Cole, 2 reposts. I felt sick. It wasn't anger, it was precision, like he'd been collecting pieces of a puzzle only he understood. I shoved everything back in the drawer and slammed it shut. That evening, Ryan called. He messaged me again, he said, asked if I had more photos from that night. "And what did you say?" "That I deleted everything, but I didn't." "Why would you keep them?" I asked. "Because I didn't think he'd go this far." I stared out the window, watching the streetlights flicker. "He's not going to do anything," I said. "He's just trying to scare me." "Maybe," Ryan said quietly, "but he's calm. That's the scary part." The next day, I bumped into Nathan outside Ella's school. He was holding her hand. listening as she talked about a drawing she'd made. When she saw me, she waved. "Mommy, look," she said. I smiled and crouched to hug her, but Nathan stepped slightly aside. Not rude, just cautious. "We should talk," I said. "Later," he replied. "When I have time." "When will that be?" "Soon." His tone was polite, almost formal. It made me furious. "You can't just ignore me," I said. "I'm not ignoring you," he said calmly. "I'm observing." Observing what? How people reveal who they are when they think no one's watching. I wanted to scream, but there were parents around, and he knew it. He just smiled faintly and said, "I'll handle things properly." Then he walked away with Ella, her small hand swinging in his. That phrase, "handle things properly," looped in my head all night. It didn't sound like a threat, but it didn't sound like forgiveness either. I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me jump. The ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, the faint shuffle from upstairs where the printer sat silent. I got up, opened his old office, and turned on the lamp. The folders were still there, but now there was an empty space beside them, as if one had been taken. My stomach twisted. I sat at the desk, noticing the computer still logged in. A calendar alert blinked on the corner of the screen. Downtown 10:15. I clicked it, but there were no details. In the morning, June texted me. He stopped by Mum's again, looked calm, said everything's being arranged. "Arranged?" I replied. "What does that mean?" She sent back one line. "He said you'll find out soon." I closed my phone and stood at the window. Outside, the sun was rising over the rooftops, painting everything gold. For a second, I almost convinced myself that nothing was wrong, that he was bluffing, that he'd come back like always. But then I saw my reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, messy hair, a woman who'd lost control of her own story. I turned away, whispering to no one, "He won't actually do anything." But even I didn't believe it. Phone buzzes on the counter, unknown number, one voicemail waiting. The robotic voice says, "This message concerns scheduled service of documents. Please confirm receipt." The voicemail replayed in my head all morning. Scheduled service of documents. It sounded official, cold. I told myself it was a mistake, probably some spam call. Still, I couldn't stop glancing at my phone. By noon, I decided to go out, just to clear my head. The air outside was sharp, the kind that makes you walk faster even when you have nowhere to go. I ended up near downtown without planning it, wandering through the plaza near the courthouse. That's when I saw him. Nathan was across the street holding Ella's hand, talking to his mother. They looked steady, whole. I froze. He spotted me almost instantly, but his expression didn't change. He said something to Ruth, handed her Ella's backpack, then walked toward me. "Can we talk?" I asked before he could speak. My voice sounded too loud against the hum of traffic. He nodded once. "That's why I'm here." He signaled to a woman standing nearby, a clerk or maybe an officer. She stepped forward, papers in hand. "Mrs. Vale?" she said. I turned, confused. "Yes?" "You've been served." I stared at the envelope. The seal looked heavy, final. "What is this?" I asked. "Divorce petition," she said. "Includes temporary custody and financial orders. You can review and respond." My mouth went dry. I looked at Nathan, trying to read his face. "You really did this?" He didn't gloat. He didn't even look angry. "I told you I'd handle it properly," he said. "This isn't about punishment. It's about peace." I laughed, but it cracked halfway out. "Peace? You call this peace? You're destroying our family because of a photo." He shook his head. "No, Leora. You destroyed it when you decided a joke mattered more than respect." For a moment, everything around us blurred. The noise, the sunlight, the movement of people passing by. I wanted to say something that would stop him, something sharp enough to undo months of damage, but the words wouldn't come. Ella tugged Ruth's hand across the street. "Daddy, are we going now?" she called. Nathan turned, then looked back at me. "Take care of yourself," he said quietly. "For her sake, I hope you do better." He walked away, crossing the plaza toward his daughter. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the envelope. A breeze caught it, scattering a few pages across the pavement. People turned to look, some with pity, some with curiosity. Someone's phone flashed. I heard the faint click of a camera. I bent down, clutching the papers to my chest. The courthouse doors swung open behind me, and the echo of footsteps filled the air. His fading first, then mine, smaller, slower. When I finally looked up, he was gone. All that was left was the sound of Ella's laughter somewhere in the distance, and the crisp rustle of the documents in my trembling hands. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.